Let's talk about the Animal Diversity in Skulls module that is due this week. The big thing you're going to do this week is skulls, so that's going to be take most of your time. But so we've got a lab handout again, as usually, that talks about animal diversity and about skulls. There's a lab demo. Watch it for sure because trying to identify the skulls is a little difficult online. It's a little difficult in person too. And so, yeah. Um, and then, as usually, there's a lecture quiz and a question set. So, lab activities are here. The lab handouts are there. You click on it and you get to the lab handouts. There's a couple of different ones here. So you've got, there's one that contains all of the material. There's one that contains just the keys. And then there's one that contains just the background material. And then there's one that contains just the photos, just the unknowns that you've got to do. I want to click on the one that contains everything just so you can get a look at what we're looking at here. So we've got background. We're going to talk about the different kingdoms of Animalia. You're going to see a couple of different organisms in action. You're going to see a hydra. So pay special attention to the things where you see an actual example. So Cnidaria, Platyhelminthes, we see a planaria, which is adorable. And then we also have an example of an annelid that I'm going to show you. And then we get to skulls. When we get to skulls, the kinds of things you need to pay attention to is the tooth formula and then those different terms. Think about what the teeth tell you about who they are. Look at these photos to just give you an idea of what the different things, what the different terms mean. And then you've got pictures. You've got a photo, basically, of different animals. And then, you've got number one, you've got number two. There's 13 different skulls that you need to identify. And that's the main thing you're going to do this week. There is an example. There's a dichotomous key that shows you with one of the keys how to go through this, but I made a different activity for you to help you with this dichotomous key. So here's the lecture with the background. Then skull identification. I go mostly through a walkthrough of the skulls. Here is, I'm going to give you a bonus activity for creating a dichotomous key. And here I give you a tutorial how to create a dichotomous key. The lecture quiz. And then you're turning in the lab notes with the unknown skulls here. For the skull ID, I've created a little bit of a different activity for a change. I'm trying to make it a little more fun than usually. So you've got keys here, you've got the handout photos and the lab handouts, and if you click on it, those come up. But this idea is we've got a bunch of boxes that presumably have skulls in them, and if you click on here, you get an employee to unpack all the boxes. But sadly, that employee messes up. And so now you've got all these boxes on the ground with all these skulls on them. And the skulls are actually, I've got them numbered. So, and if you click on the skull, what's going to happen? So we're going to let's click on this one here. When you click on the skull, you'll come to an exercise that basically helps you walk through the key. So what you get there, scroll down and you get to this, what is this? And if you scroll down, it then gives you the first couplets from the key. Large brain case, smooth rounded muscle, or skull distinctly different. Click on the one that you think it is. And in this case, you're right there, right? If you click on the wrong one, you'll see what it describes, for example. So if you, it will tell you if you're going right or wrong. So this is helpful to make your way through the different skulls. And when you're done doing that, you can actually click on this John Doe activity thing, and you can actually move the skulls from where they are. I think you can. I guess I can't. Oh, it's view only. Yeah, I'll. You may have to download this. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit. Whether you can actually move these skulls, so you may have to download it in order to be able to move the skulls into the shelf. But that's neither here nor there. Um, but the Skull ID PowerPoints should help you make it a little easier going through the IDs, because you kind of can tell what the kinds of things are you're supposed to be looking for. The other thing I have here is I have a click on where you can literally look at the keys to the terms, because some of the keys students usually have a hard time with. So here are, so this, for example, is the postoperative process, and it comes up a couple of times, the zygomatic arch. So those are the kinds of things. There's, convex, concave. You'll struggle with what that is. What the canines, molars, that kind of thing, different couple of skulls. And then there's at some point there's a question on a U-shaped versus a V-shaped temporal line. You can look at that too if you need to. But just go exploring. Go exploring my little game over here. And like I said, you just click on the skulls, and then you get the activity for that specific skull. There's a question set, so that's where you fill in the blanks, and I'm gonna show you that too. When you get to the skull, when you get to the right thing, it tells you the order, the family, the genus, and the species, as well as the common name. And those are the things you're supposed to fill out in the unknown skulls in the quiz. So if you get to the quiz, you hit begin, and then it asks you for the order, the family, the genus, and the species, and you get those straight from the PowerPoint. And that should give you an idea of what you're looking at this week.